Hey there, Litodio listeners. Thanks for tuning in to another episode where we bring you life-changing books in just minutes. Today, we're diving into Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, an inspiring guide that shows us how to cultivate inner peace, purpose, and clarity in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. Why is Think Like a Monk so relevant today? Well, let's face it, our modern lives are busier than ever, filled with endless distractions, constant comparison, and a pressure to do more and be more. Jay Shetty takes ancient wisdom from his time as a monk and makes it super practical for today's world, helping us manage negativity, find purpose, and create meaningful connections. Imagine having the tools to feel calmer, more focused, and more fulfilled, no matter what life throws your way. That's exactly what this book offers, and I can't wait to share it with you. Here's how this episode will flow. Introduction to the book. We'll start with an overview of Jay Shetty's journey and the core themes of the book, giving you context on why this wisdom is so powerful. Chapter by chapter breakdown. Next, we'll walk through each chapter, sharing Shetty's key insights, relatable examples, and practical lessons. Key takeaways. Finally, we'll wrap it up with the most powerful lessons you can start applying in your life today, whether it's finding your purpose, managing fear, or practicing gratitude. By the end of this episode, you'll have a monk-inspired mindset toolkit to help you handle life's challenges with more calm, clarity, and purpose. So, sit back, relax, and let's think like a monk together. Introduction to Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty explores practical lessons on how to cultivate a life of peace, purpose, and meaning by adapting the mindset of a monk. Shetty, a former monk-turned-life coach, weaves together ancient wisdom with modern psychology to offer readers a guide for transforming everyday challenges into opportunities for growth. He introduces essential themes like the power of detachment, the importance of understanding and managing the mind, and the ways in which gratitude, service, and mindfulness can lead to a more fulfilling life. The book's purpose is to help people break free from anxiety, ego-driven habits, and the pressures of a modern lifestyle to find more profound happiness and clarity. Drawing from his own journey as a monk, Shetty distills complex spiritual principles into accessible and actionable steps anyone can follow, regardless of background. Written during a time of growing global stress, Think Like a Monk quickly resonated with readers, offering a roadmap for finding inner calm and resilience. Its impact has been far-reaching, sparking a movement towards greater mindfulness and self-discovery among millions. Whether readers are new to self-help or experienced in mindfulness practices, Shetty's insights offer timeless wisdom for a balanced, intentional life. Here's a conversational summary of each chapter in Think Like a Monk. Chapter 1. Identity. Who am I? Shetty starts by challenging us to let go of the external expectations that shape our identity. He explains that many of us, knowingly or not, adopt labels, values, and ambitions imposed by society, family, or friends. He uses his personal journey, leaving a corporate path to become a monk, as a striking example of rediscovering one's true identity. Chapter 2. Negativity. Protecting your mind. This chapter focuses on managing negativity in our lives. Shetty talks about the different kinds of negative people we encounter, like complainers and critics, and how they can affect our energy and outlook. He shares insights on identifying and avoiding negativity, whether it's coming from people or our own thoughts. Chapter 3. Fear. Train the mind to see clearly. Here, Shetty explores how fear often controls us, keeping us in our comfort zones. He explains that we can train ourselves to see fear not as something to avoid but as a signal to explore what lies beyond it. He gives examples of how monks confront fear directly, practicing detachment to build resilience. Chapter 4. Intention. Align with your purpose. In this chapter, Shetty dives into the power of intention, emphasizing that what we want to achieve should align with who we want to become. Through relatable examples, he discusses how often we pursue goals to please others or out of social pressure, which can lead to burnout and dissatisfaction. Chapter 5. Purpose. Discover your Dharma. Shetty introduces the concept of Dharma, or living in alignment with our true purpose. He uses stories from his own life to illustrate how discovering purpose requires exploring one's talents, passions, and values. By following our Dharma, he explains, we align with our natural strengths and feel a sense of fulfillment in our work. Chapter 6. Routine. Make small changes daily. This chapter reveals the transformative power of daily routines and habits. Shetty describes how monks structure their days with routines that promote mindfulness, discipline, and focus. He recommends developing morning routines that set a positive tone, while emphasizing the value of consistency over intensity. Chapter 7. The Mind. Mastering Thoughts and Emotions. Shetty describes the monk's approach to managing the mind, which involves seeing thoughts as clouds that come and go, rather than as reflections of who we are. He introduces meditation as a tool for observing and detaching from one's thoughts and emotions, which builds clarity and peace. Chapter 8. Ego. The Enemy of Growth. Here, Shetty explains the dangers of ego and its tendency to create separation from others. He highlights that when the ego dominates, we lose touch with compassion and humility, which are essential for growth. He gives examples of how monks keep their ego in check, valuing humility and service above self-promotion. Chapter 9. Gratitude. Shift from lack to abundance. Shetty describes gratitude as a powerful antidote to dissatisfaction and resentment. He discusses the importance of daily gratitude practices, like writing down things you're grateful for, to shift from a mindset of lack to one of abundance. Chapter 10. Relationships. Cultivate compassionate connections. This chapter dives into the importance of nurturing healthy relationships and approaching them with compassion and empathy. Shetty shares insights on active listening, creating boundaries, and understanding that we should uplift others instead of expecting them to fulfill us. Chapter 11. Service. The true path to fulfillment. Shetty emphasizes that serving others is essential for lasting happiness and purpose. He describes service as more than just charity. It's a mindset of giving, whether through time, effort, or kindness, that can be incorporated into daily life. Chapter 12. Detachment. Let go of what's holding you back. In the final chapter, Shetty talks about letting go of attachment, not in a way that encourages apathy, but as a means to find freedom. He explains that detachment isn't about giving up things, but rather not letting things own us emotionally. Now to the main takeaways from Think Like a Monk. 1. Define your identity for yourself. Shetty talks about how we often adopt identities based on others' expectations. Think of it like choosing a career just because your family thinks it's prestigious, rather than because it's something you love. His point? It's essential to pause and ask, who am I really? When you start defining yourself based on your values and passions, your actions become more aligned with your true self, not someone else's idea of you. 2. Manage negativity by controlling your mind's environment. Shetty says negativity, whether from people, social media, or our own minds, clouds our peace and focus. He gives a helpful strategy called spot, stop, swap for handling negative thoughts. Spot when negativity creeps in, stop to challenge its hold, and swap it out with a more constructive thought. So, if you catch yourself feeling down after scrolling through social media, you can decide to limit screen time and focus on real-life connections instead. 3. Use fear as a compass for growth. Instead of seeing fear as something to avoid, Shetty suggests viewing it as a sign of where you need to grow. Imagine you've always wanted to try public speaking, but you're terrified of it. Rather than avoiding it, see it as an opportunity to stretch yourself. He encourages us to face fear and understand it, which often reveals it's not as scary as it seems. Growth lies just on the other side. 4. Be clear on your intentions. Shetty emphasizes that intentions matter. He uses the example of doing something out of a desire for status versus doing it out of a genuine desire to help others. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? If your motives feel shallow or driven by social validation, it may be a sign to realign. This helps us avoid burnout and stay motivated because we're grounded in a purpose that genuinely matters to us. 5. Discover your purpose, Dharma. Shetty talks about Dharma, or purpose, as the intersection of your strengths, passion, and what the world needs. He explains that aligning with your Dharma feels energizing rather than draining. It's like when you find a hobby or career that lights you up, The work doesn't feel like work because it resonates with who you are. This approach helps us move away from chasing success and towards a more fulfilling, sustainable life. 6. Structure your day with meaningful routines. Shetty stresses that routines are a powerful way to cultivate discipline and focus. He suggests starting the day with a morning routine that's centered around peace and productivity, like meditation, journaling, or exercise. Even small changes, like making time for 10 minutes of quiet reflection, can make a difference. Routines give you a sense of stability and clarity, making it easier to stay grounded and intentional. 7. Practice mindfulness to manage your thoughts and emotions. Shetty uses meditation as an example of how we can observe our thoughts without letting them define us. Think of your thoughts as clouds passing by. You don't have to chase after every cloud. This practice teaches you not to overreact to negative emotions, helping you maintain calm in stressful situations. The more you practice, the easier it gets to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. 8. Challenge the ego and stay humble. One powerful insight is how ego can become an obstacle to personal growth and strong relationships. Shetty suggests we practice humility and service as antidotes to the ego. Imagine a workplace where everyone's competing to win instead of collaborating. By focusing on connection and mutual respect, you keep the ego in check and create an environment that's better for everyone involved. 9. Cultivate gratitude to shift from lack to abundance. Gratitude is a simple but powerful way to feel more content. Shetty suggests keeping a daily gratitude journal to focus on the positives, even on challenging days. Let's say you had a tough week, but you find 3 small things to appreciate. It might be as simple as a nice conversation or a meal you enjoyed. This practice shifts your mindset from focusing on what's missing to noticing what's going well. 10. Build strong relationships through compassion and empathy. Shetty believes that relationships thrive on compassion and giving rather than expecting others to fulfill us. He encourages practices like active listening and empathy to strengthen connections. It's like listening to a friend without immediately jumping in with advice, just understanding them. The more we give without expecting, the richer our relationships become. 11. Serve others to find fulfillment. Service, Shetty explains, doesn't have to mean grand gestures. It's more about the spirit of helping in whatever way you can, even through small acts of kindness. Whether that's volunteering, supporting a friend, or just being a positive presence, the focus on service shifts you from self-centered concerns to the joy of giving. This creates a cycle of happiness that feels deeply fulfilling. 12. Let go of attachments to find inner freedom. The final takeaway is about detachment, not as apathy, but as freedom from emotional dependency. Shetty teaches that by practicing detachment, we can enjoy things and relationships without clinging to them. It's like being grateful for a promotion without tying your self-worth to it. When we're not attached, we experience a greater sense of inner peace and resilience. Thanks for listening to this episode of Litodio. We hope you enjoyed exploring today's book with us. If you're craving more insightful summaries and want to stay inspired, be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe wherever you're listening. We release fresh episodes regularly, so join us next time as we explore another impactful read. We'll link to the book in the description. Until next time, keep listening, learning, and growing with Litodio.